JUnit is the most widely used testing framework in Java. Whether you are building small applications or large-scale enterprise software, writing unit tests ensures your code is reliable, maintainable, and bug-free. I'll show you everything you need to know about JUnit 5 to become productive. I'll cover why JUnit is essential and how to write effective unit tests that will improve your development workflow. Unit testing is the practice of testing individual components of a program in isolation to verify that they work correctly. In Java, a unit is typically a method or a class. We use JUnit to write and run these tests automatically. For example, in this case, I have this class called person service, have a list of person, and we can do operation against that list. Let's say that you need to know if a specific person exists by name, so we create this get by name method. In this specific example, I want to unit test this method to make sure that it works properly when I pass an existing name, and it throws an exception when the name doesn't exist. Also, the idea is that I'm going to make assertions on the person object. So let's start by creating a unit test for this class. On IntelliJ, you can right click on the class name, then click on generate, then click on test. And this will generate the class for the testing. In this case, it will put as a name the class name, then it'll add the word test. And it'll create the test on the same package, but on the test directory. So let's hit OK. Now we have our class. Let's remove this import. Let's say that I want to verify that the method returns a specific person by name. So boy should return by existing name. Nice. Now we have to create an instance of the class. It's called person service. Now let's call the method get by name and pass Luffy as a parameter. It should return a person. We have to annotate this method with the annotation test to indicate that this is a unit test. So if I click over here, you can see that it runs. So now let's assert the object. In this case, what we want to verify is that this method return an object. So we can use assert not known for this one. Let's hit run again. And over here, we can see that the object passed. Let's say that we want it to fail. So in this case, if we use assert null, which expects that the object is null, if I run it, it will fail. So let's roll back it. Now let's say that I want to verify the scenario where a person is returned, but the favorite show is null. In this case, we can use sorrow. So let's copy this name. Let's go to the test. Let's put boy should return show null, right? So person service, person service, person service, sorrow, and person. Now let's assert their null person where the favorite show is null. Now let's annotate this method with test. Let's run it. Awesome, it works. And also we can run all the tests on this class by clicking over there. Awesome. Now let's say that this person service has an operation that returns more than one. For example, list person and get by age equal or greater in age, right? So it will return person filter where the age is equal or greater than the current age to list. Now let's unit test this. Should return more than one, right? In this case, we are going to test it method by passing 20 as a parameter, and the idea is that I should return 3 person, and we are going to unit test that behavior. So let's go back to the test. I created this method, right? Let's annotate with test. Now, person new person service by age persons. Now in this case we are going to use this method true. The idea is that this should return true something over here, otherwise this assertion will fail. So the idea is that we are going to make sure that the size is equal to 3. So let's see. Another option also is that we can use assert equals, where we expect 3. Remove this. Awesome. Another common scenario is when we have a method that returns an exception and we want to make sure that the exception is being thrown. So for example, in this method get by name, it returns an exception when the name is not found on the person list. So let's test this behavior. So let's create a method should throw exception. Let's annotate this method. Let's create another instance. Nice. Person service. La. Now, let's use this method. Throws. This is the first argument is the class of the exception that is expected. In this case, is a illegal argument exception. Then is a lambda expression with the method that is supposed to throw the exception. Nice. Let's run it. Great. It works because we pass a name that doesn't exist. So if we instead pass Zoro that does exist, it will fail because this doesn't throw an exception. Run everything from here. Also, if you notice, on every method we have to declare the same class instance. There is a way to improve this, and we can use the annotation before each. Let's say that I create an instance over here, person service, private, and let's say that we have a method called setup, which are going to use for setting up everything we need before executing a test method. Let's use the annotation before each. And now let's copy this over here, format everything a little bit. Now we can go to every test and remove this instance. Now let's run everything. Now it should work. Nice. So now we use this annotation to set up the person service. Another similar annotation is after each, which run after each method. But on this case, we use before each because we want to set up everything before running any unit test. And this is basically most of the assertions that you are going to see on daily basis on your job. Make sure you understand all of them. I believe this one is very important to know because many times we have a method that throws an exception and we should test that behavior. Another good annotation is display name. If you notice, display name should return by existing name. Let's execute everything. If you notice, by default, the test name is the test method, but if you use display name, you can specify a test name. So it won't get the test method as test name. For example, on this one, I put should return by existing name, and over here, you can see that name. I believe this is very great to use because sometimes there is a specific behavior that it's maybe a little bit complex to explain on the method name. So you can instead use display name, and also the test name looks better on the test report when you put the space and so on. So usually I recommend always use display name to detail the behavior that you are expecting or testing. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment. Also, if you like this video, you will probably enjoy this other about Java collections.